Hey, happy day. I gotta look again. 658 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, also known as Pajama Grandma. Not in my pajamas. Actually was visiting my son, not visiting, with my son at the ER today. He gets really severe migraines, and after his medications don't work and all the different therapies and things he's got, we end up in the ER. And today it was only 6 hours. Yay, just 6 hours in the ER. It was actually the anniversary of my father's death, so I titled this one Flexible, ? How flexible are you really? Because I like to think I'm super duper flexible, and I am, but I also hate having my routines messed up. For example, my 4-year-old granddaughter was here at 5 a.m., a little before 5 a.m. today, and normally I'm up, I get up at 4, I get ready, I get cleaned up, I plan my content, I produce my videos, and I have them done before she comes. But that didn't happen today. So I did one video with her talking in the background. I did another video with her screaming down the stairs at me, and then I just canceled them for the rest of the morning. I was going to go have coffee with my sisters, to call my mom, and just all kind of spend time together on my dad's birthday. He died 5 years ago. And we found out that he had brain cancer on this, right about this day. We had a birthday party for him, and then the next day he went to Mayo. And we found out eventually through a few weeks that he did have brain cancer. And he passed away then December 21st of that year. And I did my videos in honor of him today. He had a saying, and he had a lot of sayings that were amazing. You know, he's like, life isn't fair. He always taught us girls, life isn't fair. He taught us hugs aren't any good if you keep them. And that's what I did today, because I actually Googled it and found out that he's the only one who aren't any good if you keep them, at least according to Google. And all the other sayings I've ever typed in this last year to look up the origin of them have associated where they came from, who's associated with them, or someone, or if nobody is. And so I'm attributing hugs aren't any good if you keep them with my dad, because he's the one that always said that. Actually, the first result that came up in Google, which I thought was pretty interesting, was a Happy Every Day challenge day video that I did this year. I think it was like 176 or 172 or something. I can't even remember exactly which number it was, but it was, you know, about halfway through the year. I had done, hugs came up as the topic of the challenge for Happy Every Day, and so I talked about hugs aren't any good if you keep them. And so that actually came up in Google as the first response to that particular expression. So that was part of, and I went through several pages to find out, has anyone else said this, and nothing came up. It was a lot of information about hugs and how powerful and how important they are in our lives. And I don't know, I'm from a family of huggers, so I'm all for hugging. Hugging is cool. Hugging is good for us. It releases oxytocin in our brains, which is the feel-good hormone. It actually decreases the stress hormone. If you hug somebody for 20 seconds, it decreases the stress hormone. My son-in-law, we joke, but he is like the best hugger on the planet. He is just one of those people that you just love to hug because he makes you feel so good. And that is such a gift if you can hug somebody and make them actually feel hugged and loved and touched. And not in a creepy way, but in an awesome, hey, I love you, I accept you for who you are kind of way. And he has got that gift. So, talked about hugs aren't any good if you keep them. That was my idiom for today, but it wasn't an idiom, it was just a saying. And it was a saying that's had a huge, profound impact on my life and the lives of everyone that my father touched, and everyone that all of us that he's touched have touched, because it's impacted all of us over the years. So I got to thinking about how flexible really am I, because the plan was to go have coffee with my sisters and then hang out with my 4-year-old granddaughter after she got done with school, after I created my content and did my videos, of course. None of which happened until tonight. And it's evening, Friday evening, and I am now finally producing my content and making my videos. And that's, you know, does it really matter? Does it really matter if I do my content and produce my content the same way every day first thing in the morning? Nope, it doesn't matter to anybody but me. And so when I ask myself the question, how flexible are you really? Am I really flexible, or am I just flexible when it's convenient for me? All right, like every other human being, sometimes I'm flexible when it's convenient for me, but other times I just go with the flow and I'm flexible. And so it's a good question to ask ourselves. How flexible am I? How flexible am I when I'm under pressure or stress? How flexible am I when I am doing something I love to do? How flexible am I in different situations? It's just kind of a good thing to know about ourselves. And understand that, hey, under pressure, under stress, I'm not very flexible. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to get it done. Especially if it's something that I've committed to doing. So, that blood pressure challenge today is all about, this segment for me is all about supplements. So the first thing we do whenever we look at a new segment is first we decide what the segment's going to be. And we're picking things that will have the greatest positive impact and will move the needle the furthest as we want to achieve our 90-day goal. And so my first segment was all about mindset. Because guess what? As much as we don't want to admit it, if our mind isn't right, if our mind isn't in the game, nothing's going to happen. It's just not going to, because we will sabotage ourselves. We will set ourselves up for failure. All kinds of things in the universe will come to test us to see if we're serious. And if our brain isn't right, and if our why isn't there, we will quit. We will not go for our goal. We'll find an excuse or a reason, and it'll be a legitimate reason. It'll be a real reason that 90% of the population would buy into and say, oh my God, I understand that. You know what? Your best friend got cancer. I get that. You couldn't do your goal. You couldn't go for your 90-day challenge because your best friend got cancer. We get that. We understand why you quit and couldn't make that commitment to yourself. I get it. But those things will come up, and if you don't have that mindset foundational work done, you'll quit. You'll quit at the least provocation, the littlest opportunity. The smallest obstacle will tip you over and throw you out of the game. Then we talked about, for me personally, in the blood pressure challenge, what is the next thing that's going to move the needle the furthest toward lowering my blood pressure for me? And I decided that was it movement? Yep, movement. It was movement. Getting my rear in gear and taking some action physically every single day. Because physical activity, motion, action lowers our blood pressure. Lowers my blood pressure. It actually helps all of us, believe it or not, because it gets our juices flowing and our thinking and everything moving. Action is the beginning of everything. Well, actually, thinking is the beginning of everything, and then we take action, and then that's when we start to get results. Then, last week on the cruise, I did nutrition. All about the nutritional things that will impact and help to lower my blood pressure. That means eating a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. That means saying no to a lot of sweets and processed foods, which I kind of epically failed at on the cruise. I will admit, I ate more sweets and at least a bite of more sweets and desserts than I have in the last year for sure, maybe the last 2 or 3 years. But I had the opportunity to try a lot of things and have a bite of something and not feel bad about not eating the whole thing, because there's so much abundance on a cruise ship when it comes to food and nutrition. Now this week for me is all about supplements. And again, supplements is another thing. Nutrition is something that can benefit every human being, right? Our food is our energy. What we put in our body determines the amount of energy we're going to have for output, to get results, to take action. Same is true of supplements. It's pretty hard nowadays to get what we need physically, spiritually, emotionally to run our bodies efficiently from our food sources. Our food sources has been watered down and diluted and adulterated in so many ways, a lot of which we're not even aware of, because we just don't know the actual origins of our food. And even if we're careful with it and we're trying to eat as well as we possibly can, we're still missing key ingredients, key nutrients, key things that we need to have more energy, to be stronger, to have more clarity and mental focus. And so we look for supplements to help us achieve whatever it is in that area that we might want to achieve to help us with our end goal, our 90-day goal. So today was all about looking at what are and what do I need to choose and select from all the possibilities in order to get the best results for me during this short period of time. So that's what I'm working on. That's it. If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will, of course, be with you tomorrow and let you know what else I'm up to. I'm actually going to a funeral, and I'll talk about that tomorrow because I get too sad if I talk about it, so I don't want to talk about it today. But I will talk about it tomorrow and let you know about that. Have an awesome day. I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.